Hi, and welcome to Capitalism and the Zodiac, particularly the energies of Aquarius and Pisces. We'll be discussing our current economic model and the problems that we are facing as a collective. And we'll discuss the energies of both Pisces and Aquarius and how they're modeled in our current economic systems, and go into my view of capitalism and what's possible with the correct energies playing in the system. And hopefully, you'll leave this class with an interesting new perspective to work with. And yeah, so we'll get started. So, I'm Jordan. I do have a background in political thought, international politics, strategic choice in foreign relations. I speak Mandarin Chinese. I have been all over the world, from studying in Asia to being in villages in Africa to all of the fun things all over the world for yoga and other adventures and such. I also am a master astrologer. I have studied under many master teachers as well as developing my own practice. And so this workshop is an intersection of two of probably the greatest areas of study of my life thus far. So let's really clarify what we're talking about. So we have capitalism, which is the broader system in which we function economically, private ownership, for profit, and look at what it emphasizes: individual rights. And so just remember this. This will become very clear. The threads of contact you'll see as we get into the archetypal discussion. What people conflate with capitalism is consumerism, which is a problematic output of, I don't want to say unhealthy individuals, but the shadow side of people trauma buying and trauma selling within the system. And it is that endless need for items. The new iPhone comes out, and all of a sudden you feel obsolete because you don't have the most current version. And so that is the shadow, we'll say, the shadow of capitalism, consumerism. And so the problems that it leads to is, are really vast: environmental problems, social problems, over exploitation, because it becomes very buy more driven, make more driven, pollution, waste. We are buying from companies that don't champion the environment or clean production, as well as social, the materialism aspect, the mental health issues that come from this, the stress, the inequality. There's just a vast range of societal issues that come from this materialistic, consumeristic society we have found ourselves in, which is not just completely inherent with capitalism. So we'll discuss why. So, first, it's very important to touch on the two signs that create the archetypal discussion of our current economic systems and what the ideal structure in my mind would look like. And so we must talk about Aquarius and Pisces. They're the last two signs of the zodiac. We are moving from a Piscean age to an Aquarian age. And so Pisces is a water sign, and so sensitive, artistic, compassionate. It rules all of these beautiful things, altered states. An Aquarius, even though it's the water bearer, misconception is actually an air sign, and it rules being independent. We see that word again. Intellectual humanitarianism is actually under the umbrella of Aquarius. And so, with that being said, you could imagine that an economic system built with these energetics would be great for the collective. So, as you can see, some other key words: innovative, independent, humanitarian, intellectual, unconventional. While Pisces, intuitive, empathetic, compassionate, imaginative, dreamy, spiritual, sensitive, psychic, mystical, and connected to higher realms. So, how does this play out economically? So we've seen, or at least I've seen a lot in the spiritual energetic communities, a lot of talk of socialism and communism. Well, yes, Piscean energy is we are one. We are part of a larger whole. But the shadow of Pisces is that we are all the same. And so in systems like socialism and communism, you see this castration of creativity or the reach of the individual. We all get the same output, same input. You're all just copy pasted. And when you're talking about individualism, and as we're moving into the age of Aquarius, what is Aquarian energy but the process of individuation? And so, with systems like socialism and communism, you're going to see a castration of these energies, a lack of creativity, a lack of individualism. They want to put you in boxes. That's how these systems play out. And so when you're talking about the age of Aquarius and the economics that would preserve individual differences, looking at a free and fair capitalistic setup becomes a lot more intuitive. The Aquarian energy is both the process of individuation and also healthy societal systems, and reconciling that paradox, how to have your individualistic expression within a system that does not operate under control. And so when I was looking at these ideas and playing with them in the terms of economics, it really became quite apparent to me that we just need an overhaul of this system we're currently operating under. We need to look within ourselves and see how we are operating poorly within the system. What choices as a collective are we making to shift from a free and fair system to a more consumeristic society where it is driven by a need for more in this inherent feeling of scarcity and lack. And so, whenever you take this into account, we're looking at shadow economics. And we're moving from shadow economics to a more sustainable and ethical form of capitalism, which preserves the Aquarian energetics. And so let's discuss trauma buying and trauma selling, which is what I call it. And so when you show up to market, you see so many companies trauma selling. There are, if you're legally proficient, you can go on quite an easy adventure and find exponential amounts of cases where companies take something to market that in their false advertising they know, X, Y, and Z, it doesn't meet their claims, it's, full of poison or whatever else. Johnson and Johnson, you can look at the American products and they were tested by a third party and they have the formaldehyde in them. Baby products with formaldehyde. And so we know that this is quite apparent, but it is the trauma selling from which companies currently operate. It is shadow economics. They false advertise. That's why even when I was working on a marketing firm, I said, I'm not a marketer, I'm a messenger, because you don't have to market to people. You don't have to have gimmicky things, sales line, this, that, and the other thing. If there is something in your soul that is your purpose, your product, and you are in full authenticity, there is an audience in energetic alignment with it. You just have to create your message, distill your message, and authentically get it to your intended buyers. And so when we remove the trauma from the system, the shadow economics from the system, and people are no longer trauma selling, people are also no longer trauma buying. And so that is where it's the individual's responsibility to go into their own practice and figure out, why do I feel this lack? Why do I feel this scarcity? And why am I buying from that place? Capitalism did not make you feel bad. Capitalism does not make you feel like you need to work more hours. Capitalism does not X, Y, Z, blah, 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 blah. This is the copy paste victim mentality that is starting to proliferate in the economic space. And it is our responsibility as individuals in the process of individuation to go into these areas, sticky areas of ourselves, and figure out why they're functioning in the way that they're functioning, so that we are buying from a conscious, fulfilled place. I'm going to buy this because it will fulfill me in a way that isn't that shallow, like, oh, I'm not good enough if I don't have the most current iPhone. I'm not good enough if I don't have, these clothes or that car or whatever. They used to have 4 seasons in fashion. Now they're releasing outfits on 52 seasons. So they're constantly putting out new things with the intention. It's kind of like crumble cookie. It's a really great business tactic, sales tactic, but also it's the individual's responsibility to make sure they're buying from a healed, coherent place. Every week, Crumble Cookie premieres a new menu of cookies. You can't get the same cookies that you could last week. My favorite ice cream place in New Orleans does the same thing. They have one flavor every week. And so it creates a field for return buyers, which is amazing because it's great to go get ice cream that's a different flavor every week. But it's also the individual's responsibility to make sure we are not operating from shadow economics, that we are not operating from a place of lack. It is not the system's fault if you show up and buy something because you feel that it'll make you more of yourself, or whatever of these shadow thoughts that create trauma buying in the system. Profit is not a bad thing. Becoming wealthy is not a bad thing. It is about preserving the individual's right to perform as much as they'd want, perform as little as they want, make as much as they want, make as little as they want. So within the capitalistic system, unlike socialistic or communistic constructs, you can have Jen who sits at 9 figures and loves that level of output in income, in creating and moving with energy in that way. And you can also have Tim, who is a rancher and a farmer and grows all their own food, and he collects rainwater and distills it, or whatever the fuck they do. And so within capitalistic society, a free and fair economy, both of those people can exist simultaneously and carry out their own process of individuation. You can have super wealthy with high productive outputs. You can have people that have on paper very little income but are at the same level of fulfillment because it's their own process of individuation. Tim still has all of his needs met. He doesn't have to overproduce in the system. He feels no lack. He feels no scarcity. And so both of those people at two different income outpoints are both correct within the system of capitalism whenever we're moving in a conscious manner. Whereas in a socialistic, communistic society, you can't have the outliers. They will be castrated and brought towards a center point. And so when moving with this new ideal, transitioning from this consumeristic shadow lack 2, conscious movement. I go inside myself. I feel into buying, like, is this really for me? You're not moving from a place of lack, of place of scarcity. You are starting to purchase as a person that is all has already achieved the happiness and fulfillment. You're not lacking anything in gaining it from the buying process. You are already happy, you are already fulfilled, you are already whole, and the buying process will just lend to your satisfaction. Are you somebody that likes to adorn your body? Well, yes, okay, the new jewelry purchase. Are you somebody that truly loves cars and finds fulfillment in having, your little range of, an SUV, a sports car, whatever? Are you somebody that likes to chronically go to music festivals? Are you somebody that participates in sports ball matches? You can engage with whatever buying apparatus you'd like. You can buy as much or as little as you'd like, as long as you have the financial output for it. And within a free and fair economy, there's no lack being perpetuated, there's no scarcity being perpetuated. And so everybody's really functioning at a much more abundant level than you're seeing in the system right now. But it's not the system's fault. It is the individual's process of individuation and going through this healing process, healing their money wounds, their fulfillment wounds. A lot of the second house in astrology is self-worth and also possessions. And you see how these two energies coincide, they go hand in hand. And so working on your self-worth, working on your ability to be a whole and complete consumer, so that you're engaging with conscious capitalism. What a cute word. So it really starts to make sense when you boil it down to these archetypal ideologies, and you see how moving into the Aquarian age, that in fact socialism and communism are really not the energetic to support individualism and the health of the collective. And these groups and technology and all of the forward movement that comes with Aquarius, which is both Uranus ruled and Saturn ruled. And for those of you who don't know what that means, Saturn rules structure and time and systems. So you can see how the Aquarian energy is structured and a system, but also Uranus is the plot change, the rebel, technological advances, sudden occurrences. And so in order to preserve that energetic, capitalism really allows the individual to bloom in whatever way makes sense to them. It's not a system that assigns you an output, assigns you an input, assigns you a role in society. That you can deeply see when you look at it from an archetypal perspective, that really is the shadow of Pisces. We are all the same. And by pushing these societal systems, which seem really, oh well, everybody da 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 da, no, you're castrating the individual's ability to evolve within the system. I remember going to this talk with somebody, and he talked about how he was an international studies major just like I was, and he was in Peru, and there was a shoe drop. Tom's did a shoe drop. Tom's, buy one, give one. Well, they did a shoe drop in a town of shoemakers. And so it actually was extremely negative for their economy. And he was talking about, we're in an age where we need to give people a hand up and not a handout. And socialism and communism are really built around the idea of handouts. And whenever you're working with handouts, you are not working with evolution. And so capitalism and the ability to create and be and do and have whatever you want within a free and fair system that has no bounds set upon it. I mean, within reason. And that's where, when you're dealing with whole individuals that have healed from any need to trauma buy and trauma sell, you actually don't need bounds, because everybody's moving from a clean, pure, authentic decision making process. And so you get Joe Bob that gets to build the millions and millions and millions of dollars in so many brands and an enterprise and this, that, and the other thing. And you can prioritize profit because the people interacting within the system are buying within a conscious way. That is one thing that I will literally never understand, is why people complain about capitalism, but you have the right and vote to choose with your dollars. The clothes that I'm wearing right now, I set the intention that I wanted to start buying very intentionally with my clothing. I, wanted to stop participating in fast fashion and things that perpetuate human slavery. And so I buy from the royal codes. I love their outfits. Everything's interchangeable. It's all super comfy. It's sustainable, handmade. You literally can see the woman who, designs and makes all the products. And so there's something super, super beautiful about becoming very intentional about your interactions within the consumer field. So yes, has capitalism created some challenges for us? But it is because you have trauma operating within the system. When you study money in money energetics, we all learn that money is neutral. It is what you project onto money that makes it positive, negative. It's truly your beliefs around it that create all of the experience that you have around money. It is not money's fault. Money didn't do anything bad to you. It's truly your stories and how you choose to interact with them. And so the same thing is with capitalism. Capitalism is a neutral system, and it's about how we as a collective choose to interact within it. So the environmental degradation, the economic inequality, the psychological impacts, resource scarcity, and the cultural homogenization. These are things that are not inherent within the capitalistic system. They are what we have created by bringing our human flaw of lack and scarcity into the system, the lack of conscious choice, the lack of awareness when operating within the economic system. And so, just some quick solutions: buy only what you need, and not necessarily need as in I like Spartan aspect of it, but really check in with yourself. Are you buying from a trauma buying place, or when you tap into the energetic of the purchase, is it really something exciting? Is it really something that'll fuel you? Is it something that you have the economic resources for? That's another thing as well, is people within the system are buying well upon the outside of their means. They have nothing economically valuable. They don't, but they'll buy a super nice car or have insane jewelry, or I had a friend that would have a full set of nails all the time but was living on in her friend's daughter's bedroom. And so really checking in with yourself in developing the ability to move with awareness, to move with conscious choice, prioritizing experiences over possessions. I have Pluto in the second house, so I have a lot of stuffologist energy, if you want to know what that means. I have a lot of things. I love things. I love decorations. I have a lot of energy for just loving beautification. But you will not catch me spending $1 on what is considered luxury items, the fashion houses. I will do a completely I'll do a different talk on that, and how I think the spiritual community and their abundance through like Chanel and Gucci and all of like Birkin bags, trash. And if your awareness and your intuition does not pick up on just the literally, that is, it does not have an abundant frequency. I will just tell you that. I can absolutely promise you that none of those things carry the energy of abundance. Most of them carry the energetics of human slavery, but that's a talk for a different day. So practice minimalism and declutter regularly. And it's like I said, this is not Spartan minimalism. This is truly just aligned buying. Do you live in a shithole? Does your place look like a hoarder's place? Figure it out. And then buy from a place of adding to your life. Really, really, like Marie Kondo, that shit or whatever. Like, what does she say? Like, does this bring you joy? Start to interact with you're buying from a place of joy. Does this bring you joy? Did society tell me I needed this? Which again is part of the Aquarian age, right? Is the deconditioning, the process of individuation. So, in a very Aquarian sense, ask yourself, is this a societal norm I'm playing into? Is this societal conditioning I'm playing into? Or is this truly a purchase that just lights me the fuck up? Support sustainable and ethical brands. We just went through another civil movement, and everybody's like, oh, we hate slavery. We hate all this shit. And it's these same people on their platforms talking about human slavery that will follow up with a haul from Shein. Like, come on, guys. If the price is too good to be true, it's probably too good to be true. It's like when buying extensions and things like that. The hair industry is, like, last time I checked, a $10 billion industry. Get very for real about how much of $10 billion is from free and fair people giving their hair. And so anytime I go on this buying process, I'm so meticulous about asking questions, interviewing people. Where does this come from? And so start to get curious. Where are you buying things from? Who made those things? Are they getting paid to make those things? And get very, 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 very curious on your buying adventures from now on. Find yourself some companies that you love to buy from. Like I said, Royal Codes is near and dear to my heart. I can go purchase beautiful clothing. They really represent the buyer. They're a company where I get to be the buyer that I choose to be in the market. The buyer that I aspire to be is someone who buys from companies like Royal Codes. So go out, find the companies for you, get on, that means getting on Etsy, finding your small businesses, finding your creators, and start to buy from real people. Borrow or rent items instead of buying. Like, another great, I just saw somebody post about how she always rents her festival outfits because she's only going to wear them once. I mean, if you know me, I custom all of mine. And so, yeah, I buy random pieces or repurpose things and create them all myself. Repair or upcycle old items. A dear friend of mine, I love watching his creations. He's Headband Lord on Instagram. Him repurposing and upcycling clothes is absolutely amazing. And be keeping an eye out because we are going to collab on a line, and I'm really, really excited about that. Avoid impulse purchases. This is the big thing. It is and okay, I have Venus in Aries. Venus in your chart can give you a lot of information into your buying practices. I have Venus in the most impulsive sign. So I'm only saying these things because I am absolutely 100% had to work on this stuff myself. I come from a very frugal family, so impulsive buying was a big thing for me. So I promise you, I have went through this all myself. But getting your impulsive buying under control, that is the biggest way to shift from this consumeristic thing we've got going on to a more aligned, conscious version of the economic system that will be the best fit moving forward. Buy secondhand or vintage items, like all of my Instagram friends, Instagram baddies with their thrifted outfits. One of my friends who creates amazing costumes went to a thrift store, got all this stuff, repurposed it into an insane Mardi Gras costume. So it is absolutely possible. And focus on quality over quantity. That's really the biggest message, right? Is small, not necessarily small, but just intentional buying from, I do like small businesses. Return to buying from the middle class. You want to complain about all these like super rich people and meh, and then you're the first one to line up to buy things from them, to pour money into the drop of their corporate bucket. And so if you want to stand on your soapbox about it, don't talk about it, be about it. And so moving forward, this is just a huge invitation for you to really assess, what are you buying? Where are you buying it from? It's very, very important moving forward to get very, very clear on all of these things. And yes, the golden age of authenticity. And so we've just went through the whole reimagined framework of capitalism. So instead of just purely profit, moving to creating value that benefits the individuals and community at large. And how Aquarian does that sound? Both preserving individualism, but also moving with humanitarian aspects that benefit everybody. Buying benefits everybody, selling benefits everybody. And when we move inside the framework with these thoughts in mind, it becomes a much more harmonious, profitable, abundant system. Businesses and entrepreneurs, you have people pursuing their passions, and there's innovative, and it's also addressing societal needs. How Aquarian is that? The emphasis on ethical practices, sustainable development, and social responsibility. Very Aquarian. And this ensures that the economic growth does not come at the expense of environment or social well-being, but the power is in our hands to move within the new system in this way, to become conscious buyers, to become conscious sellers. And especially with an upsurgence of AI and the proliferation of the creator economy, which is what we're going to see next, this is so important. We're moving into a new era, and we have to build a thriving economy that respects all aspects of the human experience, both ours as individual creators, as individual humans that are worthy and deserving of our process of individualization, individual you guys know what I'm saying. My mouth is getting a little tired from talking. But the process of individuation is preserved while also preserving the health of the collective, while also preserving the health of the planet. And with a reimagined capitalistic framework, this is all so available to us. It nurtures creativity and personal freedom while also contributes meaningfully to the world. There is collaboration, transparency, mutual respect. And with this, we can build a future where economic success goes hand in hand with social justice and environmental stewardship. The age of free and fair capitalism promises a brighter, more sustainable, and harmonious world for all. And so, working together, we can reimagine this framework. We can start showing up as conscious sellers, conscious buyers, and we can reimagine what is possible for this economic framework. We do not have to resort to socialism and communism, where there's so much more enforced framework that you have to work within, which is very skewed with the lessons of Aquarius. It's really the shadow of Pisces at play, the lack of boundaries and the overarching control that comes with these systems. So, just a little review. The Pisces age was unity through sameness. Socialism and communist, it's ruled by Neptune. Pisces dissolves boundaries of identity, ego, and ownership blur. So you can see the lack of boundaries with when everybody is made to engage in sameness. Collectivism is the shadow and the gift of this. Everyone is equal and everybody together. But again, we're here to individuate. And so that's causing a lot of sameness. And so, in its ideal, spiritual ideal, we covered this, we are one, but in its application, it becomes you are not a drop in the ocean, you are the ocean, as long as you blend in with the rest of the ocean. And that does not sound very Aquarian to me. And so, the age of Aquarius is unity through difference. And so this is capitalism reimagined. It's ruled by Uranus. Aquarius values individualism, genius, disruption, co-ruled by Saturn, which also brings the system and the structure like we've covered. Everybody is uniquely positioned to bring something vital to the collective. It's not about making everyone equal through sameness, it's about equal access to self expression and innovation. Can we see how this is super different, but is super rad? And so, when conscious capitalism arises, it allows for radical self determination. You can build, create, scale, and redefine your own value. Everything is within reach. Remember, we have our 9-figure Jen crushing it, making multi million dollar businesses over and over and over again. And then we have Tim over here who, on paper, maybe brings in $10,000 a year, but they're equal levels of fulfillment. They have both radically self-determined who they are in their own process of individuation. And in capitalism, those are both right. Neither Jen nor Tim needs to give up any of their right to individualism to make themselves fit within the collective system. And so, with conscious capitalism, there is no cap on contribution or reward, which reflects the Aquarius's boundless potential. And the network's decentralization and innovation are Aquarian traits. And you see that with systems like blockchain, Web3, open source economies, and creator driven wealth are very Aquarian capitalism. Aquarian capitalism truly bringing forth the gifts of the Aquarian energetics and working through the shadows really will bring us into a great place as a collective. And so there are shadows to watch out for: hyper individualism, fragmentation. And so, tech elitism, inequality from system bias, disconnection, masked as freedom. There are some shadows there, but nothing that we cannot handle as a collective. We are so deeply doing this work, and you're seeing something incredible bloom. And so the key insight is the movement from the Piscean ideal, from spiritual unity through surrender to the collective, to the Aquarian idea, which is spiritual unity through liberated individuality. We're going from we're all the same, so we should all get the same, which is shitty. Like, in practice, how shitty is that? To the new system, we're all different, so let's create something greater together. And so using this new framework, I hope that you've have something to play with intellectually. Hopefully, that Uranus energy, the breakthroughs have come through, and that you are really reimagining societal systems and what this could mean for the collective as we shift into this new energetic, and how when we all work together to play as conscious individuals within this framework, how beautiful things could turn out. Because I'll say it one more time. We're all different. So let's create something greater together. So I hope you like this talk. Follow me on Instagram and YouTube for more.
Thanks for watching, and make sure you subscribe to never miss an update from Down to Mars.